It's time for the moment you've been waiting for. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Tsh, da, 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 da. Di, da, di, di, da, di, di, da, 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 da. Di, da, di, li, da, di, li, di, da. Di, da, di, li, di, da, di, li, 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 da, di, da, di, di, da, di, di, da.
2020 has been a dreadful year. You don't need me to tell you. Everybody's going to tell you. But you know it's been terrible. We're in a pandemic. Kobe's dead. It's just a horrible situation all around. Musically, in rap and hip-hop, it has been a fantastic year. It's been gifted. We've had some incredible albums come out, some potential classics. We'll see how they age, but we've had some great albums this year. And if you haven't watched my 2019 Best Albums of the Year, please go back and watch that. I'll leave that at the end of the video. But this year is 2020. We got some great ones. The way I'm going to structure this video, we have the top 3 that I've picked out, and then otherwise we have 11 different albums that I wanted to put in that category because I felt they were in the top tier. So, without further ado, it's your boy, Baby Birdman, aka Baby Birdman, because I have the Birdman hands, D-Trill. Let's hop into it. 2 albums that I don't particularly love, but they sold so well that I have no choice but to put them in the top albums of the year. My Turn by Lil Baby and Eternal Take by Lil Uzi. Anticipated, Lil Baby has probably been the MVP of 2020 in rap. He's been incredible and he's sold incredibly well. He's one of the more popular rappers in the world right now, and he's just got a lot of hypnotizing flows, which really makes this album very special and very particular. I didn't really like it at first, but I think it aged more to me. I think just my ear just started getting trained to Lil Baby a little more, but it is a good album in retrospect, and I suggest you go back and indulge in it again. Eternal Take. Obviously, this was like 2020's Astroworld, right? And this is just the most hyped up album you can think of. And with all the expectations, I think it did a decent job. Obviously, it sold so many albums. I think first week it sold about 350, which is incredible. I think Uzi really raps on this one. The only weak spot on the album is the remix of EXO Tour Life, which was not necessary, but otherwise I think he did a pretty good job. And when you have that level of hype and you're able to match that and your fans appreciate it after years of teasing it, it's a solid album for me. All right, so this one's going out on a little whim. You may disagree with me. That's fine, but I feel like the circumstances would allow that No Pressure, Logic's last album, according to him, last album, would be up here for 2020. I only say this based off the fact that it was his last album, and I think as a going away project, I think this was about as good as you can get. This is the Logic that a lot of fans, including myself, had really been yearning for a long time. We got a lot of garbage Logic in the past. I'm sorry, Logic, but we got some pretty good Logic here. I think the beat selection was incredible. He was able to really focus on his craft, do what he needed to do. Just a ton of respect for Logic. Hopefully he continues to do well. I think this album was the perfect way for him to send off. All right, now this one doesn't really count because it's a tape, but I will say this has a lot of songs on here that I do find myself going back to. I wasn't going to put it here originally, but Dark Lane Demo Tapes does have a good amount of songs on there that I do come back and listen to. I mean, obviously it's a lot of fillers, which leaves you excited for Certified Lover Boy, but I think songs like From Florida with Love, When to Say When, Chicago Freestyle, there's a lot of songs on there you find yourself going back to. D4L is also another great track on there. I feel like it's Drake in a different kind of environment that I'd like to see Drake experiment more in this style. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to wait for Certified Lover Boy, but Dark Lane Demo Tapes was a solid holdover. Now this one's a little underground, but I did start listening to it about a month or 2 ago, and it's been one of my favorite albums of the year. Stove God Cooks, Reasonable Drought. This is the first tape that I know of. I'm not particularly too familiar with Stove God, but I do know he runs with a lot of the same groups as Griselda and that kind of crew. And oh boy, oh boy. If you're gonna name your album after Reasonable Doubt, you better bring it. And oh, unbelievable. He really gives you a lot of lyricism that I wasn't particularly sure that he had, but Stove God is definitely top 10 right now. I'm going to say that. So incredible album, Reasonable Drought. Go listen to it. King's Disease by Nas. This was a cool album. This is a dope album. I actually went back to it the other day because I was thinking about a top album list of the year, and I felt like this list wouldn't be right without Nas on it. Produced by Hit Boy, by the way, who had an incredible year, has another album, I believe, on here, or maybe two, I don't know. He killed the beat selection. It was a more modern tone to kind of go to it, and I feel like Nas really fit that really well. And it's really impressive to see someone of his stature adapt to the modern level of rap or modern kind of song album structure, and he killed it. He absolutely killed it. The features on here absolutely killed it as well. Lil Durk had a really awesome feature and a hook on one song. Obviously, the hook on Sean Tolliver. Yeah, you know Sean Tolliver. Big Sean, Don Tolliver, that song was incredible. Nas just has a lot of very raw experience that he talks about. Great album. Great album. Grammy nominated. So what can I say? All right. A written testimony. Obviously, we've been waiting for the J-Elec album for 12 years. J Electronica finally dropped, and it ended up being a project with Jay-Z. And I'm going to be honest with you. This album's not really here on the strength of J Electronica. I'm going to just let you know. Just let you know, because Jay kind of smoked him on every song, kind of. You've been away for 12 years, and Jay-Z is the first voice you hear on your own album. So it's like, but you know what? Despite that, Jay Electronica still came through with a great project. Obviously, 12 years is going to raise questions. Jay-Z smoked it, as he does. So yeah, written testimony. Well done, J-Elec. Getting closer. This is kind of the top 5 almost. This is kind of the top 5, because this is my personal top 5, okay? Don't yell at me. Don't yell at me. Okay. All right, so I'm not going to put one ahead of the other. You could arguably put it in the top 3, whatever. All right, I'm going to start it off. Price of Tea in China, Boldy James. I don't think there's many people in rap that was out rapping Boldy James this year. I mean, just the combinations from getting him and Alchemist on the same track. And I love the way Alchemist has been working with this group of rappers, because they keep the spirit of like the old school hip hop alive in an era where it's changing so much that you can kind of modernize that sound a little bit. It's been fantastic. But Boldy, obviously, just rigid wordplay, just very descriptive, vivid. I love everything about this album. I feel like the beats are really banging. Yeah, there's not a lot of people out rapping Griselda in 2020, I'll tell you that. Griselda Takeover starts now. Burden of Proof is number 4-ish here. Obviously, this could be anyone's favorite. It could be anyone's top 3. But Burden of Proof is just an incredible album. Again, Hit Boy delivered. Benny kind of gets into more of a mainstream sound away from the Derringer beats that he's really used to. But he absolutely smoked this. The intro, Burden of Proof, is one of probably the best intros of the year. If you haven't listened to this album, please go listen to it. It's going to be one of the biggest records, I think, a year from now, because you'll look back and see how prolific this album was and this sound was. But obviously, you got songs like Sly Green. You got songs where Benny's really still popping his shit. So, Griselda Takeover. That's all I can say. All right, here's the top 3. Here's my top 3, and I'm sticking by it. Number 3, King to a God, Conway the Machine. Now, this one was tough. I had it at 2, flipped it with something else for number 2. So, King to a God, this is really just Conway at such a higher level with really clear production, and he stepped into a lot of realms that a lot of people were not familiar with. Obviously, the song Anza with Amrani Caesar was one of the songs where you really wondered how Conway would spin on that kind of beat, but he flowed with it incredibly well. He doesn't get enough credit for his flow, especially with everything he's gone through. So God bless. Song with Freddie Gibbs, where he showed a little bit more of a melody that a lot of people weren't really familiar with. And of course, obviously, with the rest of the album is just ruthless bars. So God bless Conway, number 3 album of the year. Number 2 is one of my favorite albums of the year. It's one I go back to because there's so many songs on here that are just phenomenal. And the curator he is, Pray for Paris, number 2, West Side Gun. So obviously, the way this man crafts his albums, he allows the features to shine a little more than he does, because he's more about the music than the attention for himself. That's just one way to look at it. But when you look at the album, the features did kill, right? Think about the combinations you had on songs. You had him, Joey Badass, Tyler the Creator on a very laid-back beat that they all smoked. Then you get him, Rock Marcy, and Freddie Gibbs on $500 Ounces. What are you going to do with that? You obviously have the Griselda triple threat. Like, polished. Versace still has an incredible production, incredible sound to it. It's more dramatized. I love the song with Wale, French Toast. The hook on that is mesmerizing. I love the instrumental. And Wale really carries that song with his verse. Westside allows that to happen for better music. But yeah, this was album of the year for a little while, but number one is just, nothing is better than this album this year. Drum roll. Number one. Second year in a row, the number one album of the year, The Big Day by Chance the Rapper. It's not. The number one album of the year is obviously Alfredo. Freddie Gibbs, Alchemist. Unbelievable duo. This is like King James, D Wade type shit. A lot of people were saying, oh, Freddie's only good on Madlib beats. Like, that's a terrible thing. And then he went to Alchemist and had an album of the year. But it's really good to see Freddie get this recognition. Obviously, it doesn't overstay its welcome, only 10 tracks long, but in every single track, there's something memorable about it. Obviously, incredible feature verses. Frank Lucas with Benny was one of the best songs of the year. Scotty Beam with him and Rick Ross was incredible. He obviously had the song with him and Tyler, the Creator, Something to Rap About. All of these songs just add to the aura of Freddie Gibbs and the incredible run that he's had over the past 4 years. A run that not a lot of people get to have in anything, in any profession, but he's consistently been number one in a lot of these things. I believe his album was in 2019 with Madlib was in my top albums of the year as well. So this is Freddie Gibbs' second year here. There's not much to say. Alchemist, of course, as he does everything, smokes it. He's got a couple albums on here. Shout out to the producers, because a lot of the producers were some of the biggest reasons why these albums are here. So it was a great year for rap in 2020. But yes, Alfredo takes the crown for number one album of the year. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Should Eminem have been on here? No. No. If you enjoyed, leave a like, obviously, a comment, subscribe, show your boys some love. I'm going to be coming at you with a award episode. Yes, I'm handing out awards. MVP, Rookie of the Year. Come on, man. Who's doing it bigger than me? Everybody. Honestly, everybody. It's been your boy, D-Trill. Number one album of the year, Alfredo, Freddie Gibbs, Alchemist.